Is back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes!
The center back, Jacob Glesnes,
He's going for it.
Oh my God! What a goal!
And that will do it. One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3-2.
Hello, welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. Well, guys, we have 2 more days until we have Union soccer returning to our lives for the next several months, which means there is still plenty of time for you guys to come out to Subaru Park and see the Union on the road. Well, to talk about that, exactly that, seeing the Union on the road, we are joined by Sons of Ben travel coordinator Heather and the owner of the travel company that gets it all set up along with Heather. His name is Vince from Philly Sports Trips. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic. Go ahead, Heather. You first.
No, I am excellent. I can't wait to get back into Subaru.
Yeah, at 100% capacity, right?
It's good to be back to normal. It's good to be traveling again.
I was going to say, Heather, it's kind of my fault, I think, because I saw you. I remember when I had you on in January, like we heard in January of 2020, so not even 2021. Like it's been over a year since we last heard you on this podcast, and we talked about, you know, you working as the travel coordinator, how you became a fan of the Union, and just all that jazz. So if people want to listen to that episode, I'll leave it in the show notes. And I saw you, I forget what game it was, Heather. I think you were talking to Johnny Sapato, I think it was, and you walked right by me, and I should have totally said something to you, but I was like, it looks like she's deep in conversation. So one of these days, we will.
No, I know. You were starstruck. I get it.
I was, totally, right? I mean, I'm like, wow, this is the Heather everybody talks about right in front of my eyes.
That's
like,
right.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I think last time you were on here, I know Adam Booth, Mac and Gazdag, Jeff Mitchell, all of you guys were like, okay, look, we know you're new-ish to the team, don't know anybody yet, or a ton of people yet, and when you come out to our tailgate, we'll introduce you to everybody, so you guys are all so kind. But Vince, like I was telling you before we got onto the show, anytime I have somebody new onto the podcast, I always want to find out a little bit about them, how they first got into the Union, how long they've been a fan. So how'd you get into the Union, Vince?
That's a great question. So soccer has always been a passion of mine. I've played my whole life since I was maybe 5 years old. I had a couple different nicknames growing up. At one point, I was Il Toro Loco. So I was that that crazy man knocking people over. My coaches used to tell me, take care of this guy. You're on him the whole game. I started as a defender and then got into scoring goals and got addicted to that. So I was playing offense my whole life, and now I still play intramural soccer. My wife plays, and I've just always been a soccer fan and a player, but I never really had a team. So when the Union came, I was a very casual fan. I've been crazy for the Eagles, for the Phillies, for the Philly sports teams. But I've only made it to about 1 or 2 games a year maximum for the past 10 years. And my wife worked for Hilton, and she was actually in charge of having the other away MLS teams come to Philadelphia, stay at her hotel, and then she would get game tickets. So we were always good for 1 or 2 games a year through the MLS. And I really did like the team, but I never got hooked until this year. Teaming up with the Sons of Ben, learning about, the history of the Sons of Ben bringing the team to Philadelphia and to Chester, and meeting them and understanding how passionate they were about the team. And then, and looking back to all the accomplishments from last year, the coach, Andre Blake, who for me is my favorite player. I am really hooked, and I feel like I never had a team that I called my own as a fan until now, and that's the Philadelphia Union. So I am hooked, and I can't wait to start going to the away games, seeing them in other stadiums, cheering them on. But it's really inspiring, the Sons of Ben and the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't feel too bad. So you may or may not know, depending on what Heather's said, but I've been a soccer fan since 2006 and watched MLS in 2007 and hated MLS because it was not what I was used to in European soccer. And so then, like, 10 years passed, and I was like, okay, let me pick this back up. And so near the tail end of 2017, I decided to put on, I think Philadelphia Union were playing DC United, and I live in Maryland, and wasn't really attracted to DC United. And I thought to myself, if I ever get to a game, what's closer mileage-wise? And yeah, technically going up to Chester, and it's closer than it is going down to DC. So I was like, well, that settles that. I'll be a Philadelphia Union fan just because it's closer mileage-wise, even though technically DC is a little bit closer. But yeah, that's how I became a fan. And so 2018 got into the team, but 2019 is when I went all in, went to my first game watching the Union. And then, yeah, it sucks COVID happened last year and went to as many games as we were allowed to. And then, like I told you guys off air, this is my first away game going to this year to see them take on Atlanta this Sunday. Super excited for that. And we'll talk predictions and whatnot at the end of the podcast, what we think is going to happen. But like I said earlier, you are the owner, the founder of Philly Sports Trips. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about what Philly Sports Trips is, even though I guess it's kind of self-explanatory in the title?
Sure. Yeah, it's exciting. And first of all, go Terps. I'm a University of Maryland graduate. And believe it or not, when I was down at University of Maryland, I went to the DC United versus the New England championship, MLS championship game. And that actually is inside the Sons of Ben video that they were there, which I didn't know at the time.
Oh, man.
But in any case, that was my first MLS game back then. And DC United, I did follow them before there was a team in Philadelphia. So that was my first, experience with the MLS. But in any case, our company actually started in DC because every year we did an Eagles trip down to Washington, and it was just 30 or 40 people. They grew to 50 to 100. And after a few years, we said, this is really fun. Why are we limiting it to one day a year? And I remember like yesterday, one of the guys that was on the trip every year said, this trip is like Christmas Day. It's the best day of the year. You wake up, you get on the bus, you go down, and you get to be an away Philadelphia fan in another stadium. So me being an engineer and a project manager, I always try to problem solve. And one of the problems was, how do I not work for someone else the rest of my life? And that is to start a company. So what are we passionate about? We're passionate about sports. We're passionate about travel. And that's where my wife came in into the fold, being an event planner. So we just started doing trips. We do a lot of Eagles trips, a lot of baseball trips. And we reached out to the Sons of Ben. They were interested in doing some more traveling in the future. And that's when I met Heather. So, and since then, it's been awesome. We're planning a lot of events, but we're still a small company, but we're growing. Our biggest trip was 300 people in Miami in 2019, right before COVID. We rented a yacht. We had 300 Eagles fans there. We had a local radio station, and it's just been fun. I love the Philly sports fans. I love traveling, and we just really try, to build a great experience for people. It's going on vacation with other Philadelphia fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So like you said, go Terps. Hopefully this year in football and basketball, a little bit disappointing. I know they got a couple of transfers in for the basketball team. Hopefully basketball is good. Football, when you're going against Michigan and you're going against Ohio State, I don't have too much high hopes. But then, not to get into college football, they're talking about expanding the playoffs to 12 teams. So I don't know if Maryland gets lucky and they get 10-2, could they potentially be in the playoffs? Maybe, but yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon. But I'll go ahead and give this question to Heather. So when Vince said he reached out to you guys, were there plans, the Sons of Ben, doing more away trips before Vince hit you guys up? Or was this this is a good idea? Why don't we start doing this?
So we do bus trips to, as everyone knows, to DC, New York Red Bull, and NYCFU, as I call them. But we don't have a lot of contacts in the way that travel agents do. And they're able to finagle deals in ways that I could never do, or anyone in my position could never do. They just have a lot of ins that I don't have. So we wanted to do more larger scale away trips where it's an overnight or two. And this was honestly the perfect year. I mean, 2020 was a wash, but this was a perfect year for it because the CCL, we took about 30 people down to Atlanta. We didn't have an organized tailgate, but we went to a local bar. Everyone had a great time, and it was truly a memorable experience for everyone. And now this year we're going to Nashville over July 4th weekend. We have Miami and Orlando, and then obviously the big CCL trip in Mexico City that's coming up. It's just to give people more options and have pre-planned tailgates and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking on the website, and I'll let you go ahead and plug that in everything, Vince, where people can go ahead and find out more information about Philly sports trips. But yeah, I mean, you guys do have a lot of information on there, not only just Philadelphia Union, but you have a lot of information, like you said, baseball trips and then football as well. So it's not like this is just soccer related. It's football and baseball. And like you said, you guys are a smaller company, but this thing could really grow because who doesn't love sports? And like you guys said, this is a perfect time to get back into traveling because of COVID and not being allowed in stadiums or at such a little capacity. So I can't wait to see just what the future holds with the Sons of Ben and Philly sports trips. But not only that, for your company, Vince, because people are itching to get out there to away games.
Thanks so much, Todd, for the kind words. I mean, yeah, we're people are itching to go, and we want to give them options to travel and to enjoy themselves and see their favorite sports teams. So we're excited for the return.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and you guys already answered all the questions, how you guys got connected and all that. So like I said, we have some MLS news. Typically, I don't really do this unless I'm talking about a game and everything, but I figured, both of these points are really, really big to talk about. One being, Daniel Gazdag, and the other one being Jim Curtin. So let's just go ahead straight into the news. Now, it's been a while since I've done a podcast episode with other people, so I'm like, okay, let me get all my buttons aligned and everything, get all the cues right. So, like I said, Daniel Gazdag, we'll start with him. Hungary has announced Daniel Gazdag has left the Euros and is returning back to the Philadelphia Union due to an injury. Jim Curtin and Ernst Tanner both confirmed in a press conference yesterday that it's a minor knee injury. The MRI showed no structural damage. Everything was sound. Ernst believes it's just an overload on his knee. Now, for everybody listening, you've got to bear in mind, and I think I touched about this a couple episodes ago or whatever, he's played 40 games so far since August of 2020. That's a lot of games for a soccer player. He gets no breaks. When he was playing over in Hungary with Heuvert, I believe that's how you said the club, he was a star player there. I mean, I know there was talks that the Union wanted to bring in Gazdag potentially in the winter, but nothing can materialize. And then they wanted to bring him in sooner in March, but then his club was fighting relegation, so that never happened because he wanted to stay there and make sure his club wasn't getting relegated. And then he comes here to Philadelphia, plays 20 minutes against DC United, then goes away to the Euros with Hungary. And Ernst Tanner, in his press conference, he was like, they probably shouldn't have left as early as they did to prepare for Portugal, France, and Germany, because let's face it, I mean, that's the group of death for the Euros. Portugal, Germany, and France, it's a really tough group. And look, it doesn't matter how much preparing you can do. Hungary faced a tough task against those three clubs, and well, wouldn't you know it, he picks up an injury while he's away, and luckily that it's not major. Jim Curtin did say in his press conference today that Daniel would be in Philadelphia on Saturday, get more MRIs done, take a look at that knee, make sure that everything's good. So it sounds like our biggest concerns, okay, he's injured, how long is he going to be out for? It sounds like it might not be too bad. He just needs a rest, and that would be great. But then Ernst Tanner also mentioned that some green cards would become available for the Union soon, and I've got to imagine those players would probably be Casper, Sergio, Kai, maybe Jamiro Montero. So that opens up 4 international spots if those 4 players do get green cards. And Ernst Tanner said, look, we still have money in the budget if we want to make some moves. He said it has to be the right moves. But players are going to get green cards, which means we can bring in more players. And seeing Daniel Gazdag go out, El Senior is still hurt, Jack DeVries is still hurt, Jose Martinez is away with Venezuela. I got to imagine when the gold card comes in July that Leon Flock's probably going to get called up to the U.S. national team. And now, when you look at that, now our depth is really taking a hit. So we would love for the Union to bring in new players for this team. Like Ernst said, it has to be the right players. No, the Union aren't going to go out and spend $10 million on a superstar. The team is a superstar. But your guys' thoughts that we bring in this exciting player in Daniel Gazdag. He plays 20 minutes for the Union down in D.C., which, Heather, you were fortunate enough to see him down in D.C., and then goes away with Hungary. He's hurt, and now he's coming back to us injured, and we don't know how long he's out for, but hopefully it's a couple of weeks, not a couple of months. You guys' thoughts on, that arrival of Daniel Gazdag, but then I feel like it's typical Union where we get excited and then a player gets hurt. Heather, you've seen this a lot.
I'm not really worried about it. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I don't see the tests and the scans, but just based upon what you said, I'm not worried about it. The guy needs a little bit of rest, and I think they should give that to him. I'll tell you, I'm more concerned with Jack DeVries because he's so young, and he has been in concussion protocol for over a month now. So I'm a lot more concerned about him than I am the new guy. But I'm curious, what position do you think that the Union should bring in if we bring someone in the transfer window?
I've always said striker. I mean, look, Casper, he's scoring goals. Corey Burke, he's inconsistent for me. Sergio Santos is really inconsistent. I went off on a limb and said he'd score, I think, 17 goals this season, lead the Union in goals, Sergio Santos. And I think he only has one. And the dude just is so inconsistent. He runs his heart out. I'll give him that. But man, like our strikers, and like you're the person here, Heather, that has been a fan of the Union longer than Vince and I. So you've seen a lot, and the one thing you've seen a lot of is strikers being inconsistent for the Union. It was CJ Sapong had one great year, and then it's like our striker problems are solved, and then he goes and doesn't do anything the next year. Fafa Pico scores 11 goals one year and then does nothing the year after that. So it's like, we need consistent strikers. So I wouldn't mind bringing in another striker. I know people probably would say a midfielder with Daniel Hurt, with Jose, with Venezuela, and Copa America, with Leon Flock probably going away for the Gold Cup with the U.S. So that leaves you thin in July and August, where the Union have a ton of games coming up. So I would say number one, striker, because look, every team needs a player that can consistently put the ball in the back of the net. But then other than that, I would say someplace in the midfield, maybe not maybe a number 6, but more of a box-to-box midfielder, I would say. Look, Ali Bedoya, he's 35 years old. We all love him, but he can't play every minute. And I know Jim throws him out there every game. And Ali always says, yeah, I can go until the whistle's blown that the game's over. But yeah, I would say striker and midfielder, and we got Powell, who's a backup right back for Mbaizo, and he can also play as a left back and center back. Jim Curtin said last week, I believe. So we don't really need too many players defensively. So I would say striker and midfielder. Vince, think the Union need to bring in one of those players? You happy with the way the team is?
I mean, as a rookie fan, and just watching the games, every game this season at least, it's clear that the defense is the strength and the goalkeeping. And I kind of agree with you. You always can add another striker to a team to strengthen the team. So I mean, I'm going to throw it back at you guys and ask my question. Like, there's so many young players that have gotten a little bit of time this year, and one of them is Aronson's younger brother. Do any of these young players have an impact this year, or just not knowing all the history of the team, or is this just to give them a little bit of playing time so that in the future they can be make an impact, or do some of these guys have a chance to make an impact this year? That's kind of my question to you guys.
I don't. Well, the way that they've been doing it typically is like the first year that someone comes up to the first team, people see substitute minutes, and then they have people competing against the veteran players for these spots. And if someone impresses, then they'll start to get some starts. But who's the youngest player at the most minutes? It's not, because Paxton has only come in to one game, correct?
Yeah,
this
just
year?
one game. Yeah, it was against Portland.
At the very end.
Mm-hmm. I would say it's Jack McGlynn. He started against Chicago, and didn't he have another start? I believe he had another start, and then I think
he
after
played
that,
against Miami.
Yeah, there we go. Miami too. And then I would say
And then
probably,
DeVries got some minutes.
and then Quinn Sullivan came in for a couple minutes. You know, it seems like every time Quinn Sullivan comes on, there's always a fight that's breaking out. So maybe it's best we don't see Quinn because it seems like he's the instigator, right?
Yeah, I think we're finally at a point now where our first team is so solid that it's going to be harder for those young kids to get minutes. But at the same time, Jim and Ernst know we want to develop these young kids. So they want to try to give them minutes as much as they can.
Yeah, I think the thing that hurts the Union the most is not having a season for Union 2 because these players like Cole Turner, Jack DeVries, Quinn Sullivan, they would be making the bench with the Union, but they would be playing a lot more with Union 2. So, Jim, look, these kids are 17, 18 years old. How much do you trust them in a big moment where you need to come in and close in shop? Not a whole lot, I would imagine. I mean, look, if they trusted Nate Harriel, they wouldn't have went out and signed Alvis Powell, I got to imagine, the right back, because everybody thought it was going to be a competition between Nate Harriel, the right back, and Bizo to fight for Ray Gaddis' spot, and we haven't seen Nate at all. So I think that hurts the Union a lot, not having a season for Union 2. I think, look, we have this game Sunday against Atlanta. Then we have the next game against Columbus on Wednesday. That's a fast turnaround. And then after that, I believe they play Chicago on Saturday. So that's 3 games with how many days? 6 days. So that's a ton of games.
Yeah, we have a tough round coming up.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it is very, very feasible to see some of these young players. Yeah, we might not have seen them a lot in the first 8 games, but with 3 games coming up, Jim's going to have to rotate players, and I know a lot of fans on social media give him slack for, oh, Jim, why didn't you make this substitution? Why didn't you do that? Well, with 3 games in 6 days, you're going to have to do something. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of Jack McGlynn, if we see some of Quinn Sullivan, Cole Turner. I would love to see, Harford County native. But we will see what Jim Curtin does. But speaking of Jim Curtin, let's go ahead and talk about Jim Curtin's new contract extension, which was announced on Wednesday by the club. The club announced that Jim Curtin has signed a new 2-year extension. Ernst Turner announced in the press conference, he said, this is Jim Curtin's 3rd contract extension since Ernst has been at the club, and Ernst has been at the club since 2018. So I can remember reading things online where people hated Jim Curtin. Again, Heather, you've been here longer than all of us. And you were in the stadium, I'm sure, when just the boos were so loud. And then it was announced Jim Curtin signed a 1-year contract extension. But now the last 2 contract extensions he signed, it's 2-year deals. And so all those people that used to boo Jim, I don't think there's going to be any more booing anymore in Subaru Park. He gets the loudest ovation ever because this guy's done so much for Philadelphia the last couple of years. He believes in giving youth a chance. And it just seems like him, Albright, and Ernst have a really good thing going on. So it's like, why break up that core? They're still hungry for more. We want MLS Cup. We would love the CCL. When the U.S. Open Cup comes back, we've been in a couple finals and haven't been able to close the door. So, yeah, there's still more trophies that these guys want. And to see Ernst Tanner give Jim Curtin a 2-year deal, you'd love to see it. And Ernst Tanner also mentioned that, you know, Jim Curtin has undoubtedly proved himself to be one of the best coaches in the league. He has led this team to new heights year after year. Jim remains committed and passionate about winning trophies, as well as the development of young players. Under his coaching, the club has broken multiple records, won the first trophy, has seen 2 young homegrown players transfer to Europe and secure regular U.S. men's national team appearances. He is an intelligent leader who continues to strive for more, and we are delighted to extend his contract. I mean, that's great words by Ernst Tanner for Jim Curtin. Look, this guy's Philly through and through, and like I was just talking about, Heather, you were there when it was first announced that Jim Curtin was taking over for Hacksworth, and things weren't going the way for the Union, and there were so many boos in the stadium, and now everybody's cheering for this guy.
Well, I think what people have to think about is, and Jim understands this, Jim's a Philly fan like we are. So he understands how Philly fans are. We came through some very crappy years with Novak and Hackworth. The team was just not playing well. We didn't have faith in the front office that they were committed to winning. So Jim had some growing pains the first couple of years. And like any Philly fan, when the team's playing with like crap, they're going to go after the manager and say, well, the manager needs to be sacked. It comes from the top. But Jim has definitely grown by leaps and bounds through the last few years, and I couldn't be happier for him. He's a great human being, a great coach, and I think these next 2 years he's going to do great things. And then I have no doubt he's going to go somewhere like Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. He said in his press conference, he said coaching a national team in CONCACAF attracts him, and so does coaching in Europe. So I know people are like, it just made sense. Okay, let him go follow Jesse Marsch and take over at Salzburg since Jesse Marsch is going to coach Leipzig. Well, he said, no, I have business here that I still need to finish. And you'd love to hear that, where your players, and not only your players, but your front office, your coaches have won it. And these guys are like, no, we still have more we want to build on. And so I'm super excited to see Jim here for 3 more years because he's still in the middle of his 2-year contract. And then you add the 2 more. So get 3 more years of Jim, and hopefully we see a couple more trophies. But I'll throw this your way, Vince, where Philly sports, it seems like the Eagles, after they got that Super Bowl win, things have fallen off the wheel. The baseball team can't get it going. The Flyers hockey team, it seems like, okay, it's promising in the regular season. The playoffs get here, wheels fall off. 76ers right now are going through something similar, but the one thing that stayed consistent is the Philadelphia Union. Ever since 2019, they continue to get better and better. They won their first trophy last year. They are still undefeated in CCL play. They play Club America, which we'll get to in a minute here, down in Mexico City. This, like, for all the people that consider themselves 4-for-4 Philly fans, I don't know why people just turn a blind eye to the Philadelphia Union, where they continue to win, continue to make progress.
This is a good time to become a Union fan. I always used to tell people before the Eagles won a Super Bowl, I said, jump on. They have no Super Bowls yet, and you can be there for the first one. And I kind of feel that way about this team. Like, they're just, they're fun to watch. They play like a team, and they remind me a little bit of the Sixers when Jimmy Butler was on the team. I just see the Union as like scrappy players that will do anything to win. And I really do like Jim a lot. And one of the days I was really scared was when Heather texted me, I think Jim's going to go to a European team. And I said, no, not yet. Like, I just started to get to know this guy. And then I find out that he's from Philadelphia and he grew up around here. And he just seems like he's really in touch with the players. And then I forget which coach it was. I think it might have been after Miami. Maybe it was Atlanta. The coach wouldn't shake his hand after. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, Atlanta.
Team?
Yeah,
Atlanta. And he pretty much just said, in his press conference, like, yeah, I understand, but you don't have to be an asshole or something like that. And that was such a great quote, because he's just such, I don't know, he just seems like a down-to-earth guy. I love that quote that he said, I still have business here. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Jim. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do this year. He's got a good opportunity to make some history.
Absolutely. And then before we know it, we'll have a statue outside of Subaru Park of Ernst Tanner and Jim Curtin because of all the trophies and everything they've done here. Can you imagine that? Like, can't wait. But let's enjoy them while we have them. But the reason you guys are here is not to talk about so much the news. It is to talk about the upcoming Philadelphia Union away trips. Like you said earlier, Heather, the first one coming up is Nashville on July 3rd. Now, you guys are staying down from July 3rd to July 6th. Either one of you guys want to go ahead and talk a little bit about what you guys have planned for Nashville?
So I'm excited because it's my first away Union game. We're traveling on group flights to Nashville on Saturday. They actually changed the game from the 5th to the 3rd, so the game's on Saturday. So we arrive in the morning, we check into our hotel. We walk down to Broadway. If you've never been to Nashville, Broadway is incredible. Bars, rooftops, music, 1 million people. It's going to be a celebration. We have a tailgate on a rooftop bar. And then from there, we'll walk down from the bar to the stadium. And they play at Nissan, which is the same place that the Eagles got beat 3 years ago by the Titans, and I'm hoping that Philadelphia can get a win this time. They should, and just excited to be in a football stadium watching the Union play. And then over the weekend, the next day is the 4th of July. Our group will be together and find something fun to do. There's plenty of options, and then the president of the Sons of Ben, Matt, is friends with a couple breweries down there. So we might go together with the group to a brewery, and then we come, enjoy Monday, come back on Tuesday. And that's a long weekend in Nashville. We're excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And so people want to go ahead on Philly Sports Travel's website. You guys say when you click on the Nashville tab that there's 2 different ticket options. So one's a 3-night self-travel package. It includes everything except for flights and charter bus from the airport transfers. And then there's the 3-night package, which includes everything. And so the first thing people might look at is, wow, this is like super expensive and everything. But you've already done the hard work, right, Vince, where you go ahead and you get the tickets, you pay for the charter. So people aren't even having to drive except for to the airport. And once you guys land in Nashville, it's like just hop on a bus and you're good to go. So just if one of you guys want to talk about how, and look, in these 2 packages, people don't even have to do that. If people want to, they can just buy a ticket, correct, and go to the game with you guys.
That was so important when we teamed up with Sons of Ben, is they didn't want to change the fact that they want to accommodate as many people as possible. And that was one of our shared goals. And that's what me and Heather talk about all the time, because some people are from out of town. The mission, if I may, Heather, that I understand from Sons of Ben is to get as many Union fans together cheering on the team. And that's number one. What we pride ourselves in with Philly Sports Trips is providing premium travel and tailgating experiences for those people. So we always take care of our group. So in this case, we give all the different options, different levels, if you will. And like you said, Todd, yeah, some of these packages, it's not a cheap city, Nashville, but we always pride ourselves on that. If you try to book this trip on your own and go pick this hotel, and do everything on your own, you usually 99% of the time will get a deal working with us. You also get to travel with the group and not worry about things, because a lot of people, one of the biggest concerns about travel is the worry of all the planning. Some people just want to just enjoy themselves. So that's really where we found a niche. A lot of families travel with us, father-son combos, husband, wife, or big groups, 5, 6, and 7 friends. And we take care of people like family. And that's something that we really liked when we were at the Sons of Ben tailgates, just how everyone is one family coming together for the team, And when we go on an away trip, we have the responsibility, even more than a home game, to represent our team. And that's really important. So we're excited to have, at least 50 people in Nashville that are going to be sitting in the away supporters section. So Heather, do you agree?
Yeah. And I think what my objective with this was to give people as many options as possible. Some people were upset when we first started this, saying, oh, it's going to change how we do away trips. No, it's not. So if you want to go, just buy a ticket. If you want to do your own travel, stay at your own hotel, do that. Or you can pay a little bit more and get the package and have an all-inclusive, all-you-can-eat and drink tailgate. Not have to worry about driving to and from the airport to go to your hotel, things like that. The idea is with the travel package to create a unique experience. But if you want to go old school and do it the other way, you can do that. So that's what we really wanted to do. Also encourage more people, if there's more activities to do, that they might be prone to, go away for an overnight or 2.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that intrigues me is you guys are offering tailgates. You guys are saying, look, we're trying to get as many fans down there. And I think the one thing people are a little bit afraid of is I think people want to go to away games, but they don't want to be the only Union fan there. And so here comes Philly Sports Trip saying, hey, look, we're trying to keep everybody together. And you guys are more than welcome if you just buy a ticket to still hang out with the group and everything. You might not get stuff at the tailgate and stuff because of the ticket pricing and everything, but you're more than welcome to hang out with us, because I think that's the big thing. When I was talking with my sister, I was like, hey, if it's just us two going down to Atlanta when we go on Sunday, that's fine and everything. But then my friend and his girlfriend from Tennessee were like, yeah, we want to go. And so it's like, okay, you have people that you're familiar with, people that you know. So you guys saying, look, all the headaches are gone. We're planning all of it. You just go enjoy yourself. And I think that's a great idea, what you guys are doing with Philly Sports Trips, Vince.
Thanks, Todd. Yeah, that's the goal is making people find their family in other cities, those Philly fans. So, I mean, Heather can tell us because she was in Atlanta the last time for the CCL quarterfinals. I mean, what was that like, Heather, like walking into the stadium at that stadium, especially with the Union group?
That Atlanta trip was probably one of my top Union experiences. Just obviously because of the historic nature of the game, how rabid in support the Atlanta fans are. I mean, we had Atlanta fans applauding us when we're going up the escalator saying, hey, thanks for coming. You know, a lot of you came. That's great. And then for 90 minutes, it was, you're not our friends. And, there are obviously people a couple sections over that were trying to start some things with us by mouthing off. But it was a lot of fun. The scoreline. But yeah, I would go back in a heartbeat. It was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I know when I talked to you about coming onto the podcast, you were like, yes, Nashville. I want to talk about Nashville. People need to go out to Nashville. And do you guys have a head count? How many fans are signed up for that right now, Vince? Or
yeah, I think we're at 45 that are going to be at the game. And probably about 25 or 30 at the tailgate. So we have a really solid group for
That's really good.
And to be honest, we weren't sure about it because 3 months ago when we started to plan, Heather and I, we didn't know what travel was going to look like this summer with COVID. And we're very grateful that things are starting to get better and people are starting to feel more comfortable. But we had no way to know if this was going to be an issue even for the rest of the year. So we're excited. We think that's a solid group for such a short notice of all the positive news out there. So we're happy with that. It's going to be a blast.
Absolutely. So then the next trip you guys have planned is the Orlando/Miami trip. Get 2 games for going down there for a couple of days. So that is July 23rd, I believe it is. What do you guys have planned for the Orlando-Miami trip?
Yeah, so I'll talk a couple minutes about that. I mean, we were down in Miami like we were talking earlier with 300 Eagles fans, and we really know that area well. So we have a great hotel, Margaritaville, which there's pools and, the beach is right there, and it's just a beautiful venue. Orlando, we're staying at the Gaylord, which is a nice resort that's right near the stadium. So that's going to be a blast. Those 2 locations are perfect. And then we're actually just starting to open up game tickets so that we can get more people down there. So I mean, Florida's great. Florida in July is going to be a little hot, but we put both out there like we always do. We put the trips out there and then let the people decide. And Nashville won. There's a lot more people going to Nashville than those, but we will have the game ticket packages up there. And as Heather knows very well, that 2 to 3 weeks before the trip is when a lot of people start to think about it, purchase the tickets. So we'll be there and help people with whatever they need for that trip. But I think Heather and I spend most of our time thinking about the trip in August. That's the big one this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, I knew people. I saw it, Heather. People were absolutely blowing your Twitter up. Oh, what's the latest information on the Club America game? I saw people on Reddit. Anybody have information about the Club America game? Like, where can we get tickets to travel with the fans? Well, and I appreciate you, Heather. You guys announced it on Wednesday. I messaged you, said, look, this is kind of like breaking news. We're recording on Thursday, so it is fresh news. And so, good, Heather. Tell everybody everything they need to know about the Club America game in August.
Well, I'm going to have Vince correct me if I say anything wrong. So for the Sons of Ben, the first priority is safety. We're going to another country. We're going to one of the bucket list stadiums that soccer fans want to check off their list. But obviously, we're also going there where there's some history project like that. So we wanted the Sons of Ben to make sure that they felt as safe as possible going, and I think we've accomplished that. We're going to be staying at the Hyatt Regency Mexico City, right?
Yep. Yep. As Heather was saying, like the safety is so important. So we talked to a million different hotels, looked at the different areas in Mexico City, and we really decided that the Polanco area, which is where we're staying, which is rated as one of the top safest areas in Mexico City, just seemed the best for the group. So the Hyatt Regency Mexico City is a beautiful hotel. We think people are going to feel really comfortable there. And we decided just to make every step of the way, bulletproof, where, we have the bus picking people up from the hotel, take them to the game and taking them back. There will be a one stop, however, on the way to the game, which is the tailgate. And this tailgate, I mean, we luckily we had a lot of Union fans and Sons of Ben members that had been to Mexico City in the past. So we looked at all the different recommendations and we kind of fell in love with one of the individual spots, which is a barbecue spot in Mexico. And we rented out a private room where we have our own bar, open bar, drinks, tequila, rum, vodka, craft beers. I added that, by the way, Heather. I added craft beers to the list. And I don't know if 3 or 4 or 5 beers is enough options. What else you got? Because I know the Sons of Ben like their beer. So we add the craft beer. The food looks delicious. Ribs are included as one of the items. And we're going to do a nice 2.5-hour party, which is I think everyone will enjoy. And then we'll get on the bus and we'll go to the stadium. And as Heather said, it's an iconic stadium. I have to just clear it with my boss, which is my wife, and we have a 14-month-old at home. But I'm trying everything I can to be in Mexico this August. So wish me luck on that battle.
Absolutely. We're sort of hashtag Give Vince to Mexico. So, Heather, what about you? You any plans to go down to Mexico City to see the Union take on Club America?
I would love to, but I just started a new job and I can't take the time off. No, I was going to say Vince has to have all the fun for me.
Well, hopefully, the Union go down to Mexico City, get a result. That means when they come up to Subaru Park, we can continue to party and have a good time up here in the second leg, which I believe that game's in September. I want to say the 16th, but I could be wrong.
I think it's September 12th. I think it's a month exactly after the other game.
Yeah, I thought it was sometime in September, so you guys can go ahead and fact check us, but it's definitely in September. But it sounds great. Now, the one thing I will say is, looking on the game day package, the only thing that's not included is air flight. I believe you said, Heather, that you people are free to go ahead, find whatever cheapest ways they can find to get down to Mexico City. But for hotel, transportation, tailgate, and ticket, it's not an outrageous price, in my opinion.
No, I think it's pretty reasonable. And when Vince told me the prices, I was very pleased. And this price point allows as many people as possible to go.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing we should have hit on before, but we'll hit on this before we wrap up, is people that are interested in going, they don't have to be Sons of Ben members, correct?
Correct. They don't have to be members, but they do get a discount if they're a member. So let's say you're not a member, but you want to get $20 off your trip to Mexico, then you can sign up to be a member and tell Vince, hey, I've been a member since 2021. Give me my discount.
Exactly. We've had that happen multiple times this year, where people are interested in a trip and say, hey, why not? Like, I'm a Union fan. Maybe they don't know a lot about the Sons of Ben. If you're anything like me, I was a little bit intimidated by the Sons of Ben. You hear them on TV at every game cheering and singing. But you shouldn't be intimidated because if you get to meet the people, and Heather's a great example, they're just genuine fans and they care about people. And I think so far what I've learned is that they're one of the most well-run organizations that I've ever seen.
Yeah, spot on. And another thing I wanted to bring up real quick was, I still see this on social media from time to time, is where like people are like, oh, I would love to go to the Sons of Ben tailgates and everything, but I'm not a member. You don't have to be a member to go to the tailgates at Subaru Park. Yeah, you get a little bit of a discount if you are a member, but there are a lot of people that aren't members in there. And I believe too, you guys will allow people to come in and just chit chat if they want to, not have to pay anything, but then they don't get food and drinks and everything. But look, like we said, they're not scary. They're a little bit intimidating, right? Because I can agree with that. Walking by you guys in 2019, I'm like, it looks cool and everything, but I don't know anybody. But yeah, I mean, you, Heather, Adam Booth, Mac and Gazdag, Jeff Mitchell, I know he's a member. I've met a couple other people. You guys are the nicest people around town.
Yeah, and I tell people on Twitter that, if you're intimidated or maybe you're not good talking to strangers, then you find me at the tailgate. I will take you around and show you everyone. You can find any of the board members. Everyone's very approachable and friendly, and we want you to have a good time. We want you to feel like you're part of the family.
Yeah, it's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. So before we go ahead and let you guys plug, like I said at the beginning, the Union take on Atlanta United this Sunday down at Mercedes-Benz Stadium at 2 p.m. It's going to be wild because I think when you and Heather wasn't at full capacity yet. Now to go into Mercedes-Benz Stadium where it's 100% capacity, where it looks like there's going to be like 10 Union fans. Hopefully a little bit more show up. Maybe they'll order tickets last minute or something. We'll try to be as loud as we can, but really looking forward to that game. And I think the one thing Union fans got to be excited about is Joseph Martinez is not going to be available for this match because he's away with Venezuela for Copa America, and that's a huge piece for Atlanta United to miss. And I know he's coming back from an ACL surgery. He hasn't looked like he has in years past. But that speaks great for the Union where, let's face it, we're missing Martinez, but we saw what Leon Flock can do at the number 6. So I've got to imagine him fill in there. Anthony Fontana, when he was down there in Atlanta, looked great against Atlanta, got a goal and an assist, I believe, in that game. So look, the Union aren't missing too much, and I would love to see another 3-0 result down there like you guys saw. Look, I'll take 1-0. Just if I can see a win to shut up, I don't know how much fans are allowed in that stadium. I mean, how many fans it holds. But to see those guys boo their team off the field, I would love to see it. Absolutely love to see it.
How many? I think it's like 72,000, right?
Yeah, it sounds right. It's a massive stadium. I mean, I'm sure once I step foot in that stadium, I'm going to be like, yeah, pictures and everything I've seen online don't do this stadium any justification.
Yeah, I have to say, I didn't want to like it because it's a football stadium, but you can definitely tell they built it for a dual purpose idea in mind. It's actually a pretty good place to watch a soccer game.
I look forward to seeing that. What about, people might not want to hear this, but I think the away section's 229. How are the sites?
Oh, it's fine. I mean, if anyone who's been to Red Bull Arena and sits in the away section, it is 10 times better than that. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think anyone will be disappointed that goes. You'll love it, Todd.
And so what I'm trying to get at is, look, let's get some more people last minute booking this trip. Let's go down, watch the boys in blue, take on Atlanta United, cheer them on because I have a feeling a lot of Atlanta United fans are going to be going home angry. But guys, thank you so much for talking about these away trips, talking about the latest MLS news with Union. So Heather, I'll head it back to you. Where can people find out about the Sons of Ben road trips on Twitter, your personal Twitter, if you want to link that? Just anything you want to plug, go ahead, plug it away.
Well, I'll plug my personal Twitter since I talk so much on that. It's Moo Cow Pup, MOO Cow PUP. And Vince, what is Philly Sports Trips Twitter handle?
It's PHLY Sports Trips.
Yeah, so check that out. You can also check out at Sons of Ben, the main account, and you can definitely get all of your travel information from there.
Absolutely. And as I do every time a guest comes on to the podcast, I link all their social media stuff in the show notes. So it's so simple for you guys. Go follow these accounts. You guys heard from Vince, from Heather. This is a great partnership, and I look forward to what you two organizations do in the future. Like I said, Vince, to have 300 Eagles fans, that's good. To have 45 people already signed up for Nashville, it's going to be a blast. And I know all of us probably feel the same way, where we see 20 plus people come into Subaru Park, New York City fans, Atlanta, into Miami fans, just fill up Subaru Park. We hate to see it. So now that we actually have 45 plus people going into Nashville, it's going to be great to see. So super excited to see what the future has in store for both of you guys, for both of your organizations. And make sure you guys follow Sons of Ben, Sons of Ben Road Trips, Heather, Vince's company on social media. And if you guys aren't following the podcast, follow at Free Kick Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Check out the website, thefreekickpodcast.com. Wherever you get your podcasts, The Free Kick, Todd Lewis. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is The Free Kick Podcast.